For those of you online, we're going to start at 1:05 and I'll put that in the chat in case you can't hear me. Nice. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Good shit. You gotta show up for yourself and your team. Yeah. In your wallet that's sitting right here. Yeah. Yeah. That happens to me all the time. I'm usually on my phone. I'm like, hey there, how are you? Just like look around. That's one thing. It's been a hot minute. Did I tell you? Yeah. Yeah. It's been a hot minute. Yeah, there's free stuff everywhere. Are you doing DocuSign? Yeah. All right, class is gonna start around 1:05. So feel free to go to water. Hi, welcome. And yep, DocuSign 101 today. There, so I did like solve the truths. This year is big. Yeah, that movie just came out, right? Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I need to think of something. I always think something to be Daisy Jones. That's good. My kids picked out their costumes, and now that you said that, I'm like, I don't even have one. Yeah. And we're like, that thing that I told you about, like having people like come over, I'm like, I have to get a costume. Yeah, that's right. What are your kids being? So the oldest one is being a werewolf. That was not his first choice, but it actually turned out to be pretty cool. And he's like making some of it, but he has like the mask and the hands, and then that's fun to make. Yeah, the other two are being oh my gosh, a unicorn. I couldn't think of that word. Oh, fun. A unicorn and then Spider-Man. What a mix. I know. I'm like, we're gonna be like quite a group. This together going down the street. Well, like I got some songs now. It's always fun, but I get overwhelmed by the choices. Yeah, it's a lot. I wanted to like truly, I would love to do like something like super scary. Yeah. But then because of like doing the event, I was like, people have to actually be able to recognize me. It's gonna be all for nothing. You know, and I was like, I told my husband, I said, I'm gonna be like a zombie because we've been watching some zombie shows. It's like no one's gonna know you're here. Actually, like, oh wait, that's probably not good. That is key for this event. So I'll probably just do something like simple, like some kind of, like cat ears or just something, something. Right. Love it. Are you gonna come to a trunk or treat? Yeah, I thought I'd love it. It seems fun. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'll be going. It was really fun last year and the year before. It was always a big hit, so I'm excited to go because it's a new location. Yeah, and I think it's a good setup out there. So too, I'm really excited for it. Perfect. That's how I. Hey, how's it going? Hello. Been a while. I know. Yeah, I'm not a good shaker. Yeah. There you go.
DocuSign usually. Thanks. I did it. Next week. Because then I was like, I connected with a new one, and I was like, yeah. DocuSign usually does that. Yeah. DocuSign usually will do that. Yeah. That's what biggest one. Yeah, I don't know why.
That's more than they thought, because I said it didn't want to smell like a hospital before. That's alcohol.
Right. Yeah, I always struggle with that. All right, thank you.
Let me see anything.
All right, thanks. I always struggle like erasing it.
It's not DocuSign. Just you who doesn't like to be in front of people, that's why I have.
Oh,
To get front.
well, I don't mind when it's like, if I'm doing, like, showing them how to do something, I just know it so well, so I don't get nervous. But if I'm like talking about, I don't know, myself, then I
That's
get.
a whole different situation.
I already have.
Or like what we do here.
Yeah,
Don't make me.
like, don't make me.
Can Liz actually tell them? Hey. Okay. Yeah, I think I turned that one off. Hopefully it just is fine.
Great work, Lee.
All right. All right, thank you. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started on DocuSign today. We're gonna be working on the electronic signature platform that you have to get your forms signed. So I'm gonna show you today how you'll be able to access all of your forms, how you can type in your forms and then send them for electronic signature for your clients to sign, okay? I'll also show you how you can then add your signed paperwork to Command so that you can get paid, all right? So you do need to know this information, A, to go under contract, and B, to get paid by our Market Center. Okay, so first up, let me show you where the notes are for today's class. So on kwbresources.com, right, that is the internal website. So that is all of your resources as an agent at KWB. So this is not for the public, but kwbresources.com. I do have notes for you, so you don't have to remember everything I'm saying today. All right, so those are under Tech Resources on the top black toolbar, and then Live Tech Training from that dropdown. Okay, so again, KWB Resources, Tech Resources on the top black toolbar, and then Live Tech Training from that dropdown. And you'll see our tech calendar. I do want to point out that today we're going to go over the basics of DocuSign. So what you do to start a transaction in Command with DocuSign, get your forms, et cetera, et cetera. On Thursday, however, we do have the 201 DocuSign class. So if you want to learn how to create templates from your forms and create checklists to help make the smoother transaction for your clients, I'll be showing you that on Thursday. So that's from 1 to 2. The advanced classes are on Thursday, and then the new agent classes will be on Tuesday. But if you'll scroll down for me, it's about halfway down the list. You'll see DocuSign. That's going to give you notes for today's class. So whether you like to follow along with written notes or videos, right? It breaks down 10-minute videos moving down the page here on everything I'm going to say, right? Especially when you go to do your first transaction or you have an upcoming transaction, this first one right here will be great for you to follow along. Because you can just listen to this again, you don't have to remember everything, and you can get your form signed. Okay, so this is where you can find those notes again, and I'm going to show you all of this as we go through today. If you do like written notes, I'll be following along with the very top one. Those are written steps, about 10 steps on how to do a transaction with Command. But we're going to start with that in Command. So while we're working on DocuSign, it's very important that you guys understand that we start all transactions in Command. Okay. After you start the transaction, you can go directly to DocuSign to access those. But in the meantime, you will always want to start transactions in Command. So Command being agent.kw.com, like it's the agent login for kw.com. Okay, so when you log into Command, I want to point out the transaction section of Command is called Opportunities. So on the left-hand side menu, right, you'll see a bunch of icons. You can click the KW logo at the very top left to pan that out so you can get a hang of the navigation in Command. And it's called Opportunities is where you'll want to click. All right, looks like a handshake icon about halfway down the list. Okay, so the opportunities tab, okay, what's an opportunity, right? It's really as corny as it sounds. You will create a new opportunity each time that you have an opportunity for a buyer or a sale, buyer listing, right? So you'll see your different pipelines here. You'll have a listing pipeline here and also buyer, okay? Most platforms really only do under contract to close. What's cool about Command is it's going to help you stay on top of your transactions all the way from the beginning of the transaction, okay? And we're going to go more into this on Thursday. So creating checklists of what you need to be doing in order to stay on top of your transactions, all right? But for now, we're going to go ahead and start an opportunity so you can see the workflow of getting your forms and getting those signed, okay? So from the Opportunities tab, you'll see that there's a Create Opportunity button, okay? As you're learning the navigation, again, right, in Command, it's generally always on the top right. That greenish button that you'll click is your next action item. So create opportunity, right? It'll show you a bunch of fields that you have to fill in. A little overwhelming. You do not have to fill out all these fields. I'm going to tell you the 3 fields you do have to fill in. All right, so if you want to write this down, I'll point out noteworthy moments. 3 fields you have to fill in each time that you start a new transaction or a new opportunity. Opportunity type, so listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. This is where you're picking which of the pipelines that your transaction goes onto. So let's say I'll pick listing for today's class. If you have a buyer coming up, you can select buyer. Really the process is the same. All right, so opportunity type. Second field that you have to fill in will be your client. Okay, so ideally they're in your database already. If they are not, you can go ahead and type them in here and add them as a new contact. Okay, so you want their first and last name and their email so they can electronically sign. So let's say I go ahead and type in the client's name. If they're in your database, you'll see them pop up from that dropdown, or you can click to add a new contact. If there is a spouse in the transaction, right, or a co-seller, co-buyer, there's going to be a separate field for that. You do want to put them in so they can also electronically sign. So you can go ahead and put in like yourself if you want to, if you have yourself in your database or someone in your family. So if you do put yourself in, you'd be able to see what it looks like when you receive forms to sign. All right, so again, the 2 fields we filled out so far, opportunity type and the client. Lastly, we'll just have to fill out the commission rate. So on the very bottom right there, that's talking about your side of the transaction. So whatever you usually charge, it is changeable if they haggle you down. But for example, 3% is what you can always put in there. And then you can click create on the bottom. If you guys have any questions on any of the other fields, let me know. I'll go more in depth on that in the advanced class on Thursday. But really, again, 3 fields, opportunity type, the client name, and commission rate, and click create. All right, and that'll take you into the back end of your opportunity where you'll see the details pop up first. And all of these details will autofill onto every form that you bring into this DocuSign room, okay? So again, I'll go back over this in a little more detail later. For now, let's focus on how do we get into DocuSign, okay? So the Documents tab on the top white toolbar, you'll click on that, okay? The Documents tab, this is where we go to start a transaction in DocuSign every time. All right, so once we click on Documents, and again, if I lose you guys, please let me know. This is for you. I'll catch you up. On the left-hand side, you'll see it says Pick Checklist Type. And depending on if you picked a listing or a buyer opportunity, that checklist, those options will look a little different for you, right? But we're selecting, okay, is this a North Carolina listing, South Carolina sale? Because what it's going to do is automatically pull in all of the required forms that you need into your DocuSign room for you, so you don't have to go looking for them. So in this case, I'll do North Carolina listing / sale checklist. All right, so once I select the checklist name, a couple things you're seeing here, and we're going to come back to this, but you're looking at a checklist of the forms that you need in order to get paid, okay? And we'll go over what's required, et cetera, but just on the left-hand side, just pointing out, right, if you are doing a listing, you'll see it says under contract on the left side and closed. It will automatically pull in any forms that have this green DS next to it, okay? So what we're going to do to make that happen is now click Start a Transaction on the right-hand side. All right, yours will probably go directly to DocuSign. So when you click start a transaction, it should load for a second and then bring up a separate page. If it does not, you probably have a pop-up blocker on, especially if you have a Mac, and I can come help you with that. But what should happen, it should take you to log into DocuSign. If it doesn't, let me know. You will need your DocuSign login once each day for security. So that's usually your KW email and then the same password that you use to log into Command. I'll give you a second to log in if you are not already. Don't feel rushed. But what you're looking at now is all the forms that automatically pulled in that are required for this transaction, okay? So we're going to find out that if you have access to all your forms. If you don't, I can help you with that as well. But to do that, let's go ahead and click on, let's say, the exclusive right to sell. Or if you're doing a buyer, you can click on the buyer agency is fine. So when you click on the form itself, it'll load. If you do not have access to the forms, this is where it will tell you. It'll give you an error message at the top. So just let me know if that does appear for you, and I'll get you access to your forms. All right, everyone have access to their forms? Nice. Yeah, if you click on it, it'll tell us. So like the exclusive right to sell, you could click on. Yeah, and not the checkbox, the form itself. No, that would make sense. It really would. No, good. You guys good? Okay. Okay, no worries. I'll pause for a second. That's great. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Now click go to transaction on the
Okay.
right-hand side. Great. Amazing. Okay, I see. You had already started this before adding the form. So yeah, at this point, there's not a way to like go back and get the forms to automatically come over. I'll show you how you can add more, or if you want to start a new one, I would, and I can show you how to archive it as well. Nice. Doing good? Good, good. Can I help you guys? Okay. Okay. And this will be, oh, okay, hi, Linda. I heard about you. Nice to meet you. It'll be at least be at kw.com. If you do have you gotten your setup? Yes, you have?
I just, when I was working with it, it's like she didn't let it down.
Okay, have you gotten your Scott Lower marketing setup back? Or, okay, well, I'll be able to help you with all of this. But yeah, you'll want to, okay, yeah, you'll want to put in your KW email if you know what that is. Okay, it's usually like your first and last name at kw.com. But if you'll search your personal inbox actually for Scott Lower Marketing, I can see if it'll pop up there. You don't have to, Ashley? No, you're good. Yeah, do you need my help? All right, no problem. Yeah. Yes, okay, yeah. So click on preferences right there. And then if you'll click on add provider. And then the Realtor Association. And then if you know your NERDS ID, that's what it wants. If not, you can click find your member ID and we can look it up. It's like a 9-digit number. Agents usually don't know it, but it's for the National Association of Realtors. So if you click on, yeah, find it, it'll just prompt you to put in like your email address and forget what else, last name, and it should tell you it. Yeah, I usually pick the first one, but totally up to you if you know that. Are you good? Okay, all right. All right, guys, so once that form does pull up, and I will circle around if you're not quite here yet, but if you are able to open your form, you'll see that filling out the form is really as easy as clicking in the fields and starting to type. So if you click on any of the fields, right, first of all, you'll see a lot of information has auto-filled, right, like your client information, your brokerage. As you scroll down, you can fill out the form by just simply clicking on any of the radio dots. You can click on any of the date fields. It'll show you a calendar. And what the cool thing is, for example, if I don't have the property address already on here, if I add it to this form, it will autofill on every form that I bring into this DocuSign room specifically. So it does autofill back and forth to save you time. One thing to note, you will not see any initial boxes or signature fields at this point, right? That shows up in the next step, especially if you're familiar with DocuSign. I mean, .loop, that will be a little different. Okay, so again, filling out the form is as easy as scrolling to type in. How you guys doing? Good? Okay, no, you're good. I'll help you. Okay, yeah, good.
No, I mean, like, you're not.
Okay, no, you're not. You're good. Yeah, I'll keep circling back around to help you. All right, so at this point, once we fill out the form, right, you can go ahead and save the form on the very top right. So where it says save and close, because you have two options at this point. You can either print out the form, right, so that if you have an appointment and you want to explain the listing agreement to them in person, you'd be able to print that out. Or, of course, the point of DocuSign is so that you can do electronic signatures. So if you did fill out the form, right, you can click on Save and Close. You'll always need to do that even before printing it out. So click Save and Close on the very top right, that yellow button. And then you can click on the form again to open it if you would like to print it. So let me show you how that works. So first of all, click on Save and Close on the top right. So find your notes ID. That's the correct spelling? It's the town. I didn't want to ask because I'm like, surely, no, how to spell your last name. I got you. All right, so as far as now the next steps, right, we're either going to print out the form or send it for electronic signatures, right, which is generally what you want to do to save time. But again, you'll get some clients that maybe don't trust electronic signatures, or you're going in person, so you might as well bring it. Okay, so when you do that, if you click the checkbox on the very top left of any of the forms that you want to send, right, you'll notice when I click the checkbox, this bulk action menu appears on the top. So just noting, if I don't have anything checked, nothing appears up here. However, if I check the checkboxes, let's say I want to send the working with real estate agents and the listing agreement. Of course, in practice, I had opened up each one of those forms and typed in the form. And then when I click the checkboxes, I can do one of two things, right? Again, this bulk action menu up here will give me the option to print. Print out the forms, they're typed up, so it looks very professional. Bring it to your appointment and have them hand sign. Okay, that's totally fine. Again, the point of DocuSign, though, is to send it for electronic signatures. So in that case, what you'll do is you'll click that pen icon. So again, we've checked the checkboxes on the top left of the forms that we've already opened and filled out. Then we can click on the DocuSign, the create envelope icon will be that pen icon on the top toolbar. Okay, and that will take you into an envelope to defer. Good. I got you. You were totally fine. Nice. Okay, we're killing it. Okay, so there's the member ID. I don't know if it's one of these other tabs, but I'll just go from the beginning here. Oh, nice. No, you did it. Great. Way to go. So now you have access to all your forms. So now back in the room, right, if you click on the form to open it, it'll actually load and you can just start typing in the form. And I'll come around and make sure everyone is up to speed. But if you can go ahead and select that create envelope icon on the very top, all right, I'll show you what will happen when you send it for electronic signatures. So again, that's the pencil icon on the very top of your screen. All right, so here what we're doing is assigning signature fields and initial fields, right? So it pops up. You'll want to select, let's say, the listing agent and seller 1 and seller 2, right? It's a form we need to sign. So select the checkbox to the left of listing agent and seller 1 and seller 2. And what that's going to do, once you click continue, is pull in your client's contact info from command. So once I select that and click continue, it does usually take 45 seconds or so, 30 seconds, and it will pull in all their email address, their name right from command. Nice, that's great. Yeah, so I mean, in general, you can type in the form as much as you want, and then you can click save and close, and I'll catch you up to where you are. Yeah, no, you're good.
What did I not click?
Oh, start a transaction.
Mhm.
No, you're
I
good.
got you. Thank
You're
you.
totally good. And then it should load any second now, and I'll come back. Pretty weird. That's a weird one, and not a helpful error message either, is it?
I got to there.
Okay, and then it wouldn't, it wouldn't do it? Okay, let's see.
It signals
Mhm.
solar too.
Weird. Okay, no worries, we'll be able to fix it. Okay, this is why. Do you know your NERDS ID off the top of your head? It's okay, we'll be able to look it up. Usually people don't. Okay, so NERDS ID, right? That's your National Association of Realtors ID. So we'll click, we can look it up right from here. It's really no problem. Usually no one knows. So yeah, if you can put in last name and email, the email would be whatever you signed up with the National Association of Realtors. Okay, great. So now, yeah, click documents right here. Doing great. Mhm. Great. And now on the left-hand side, click pick checklist type. Nice. And then you can select the North Carolina listing, the second one down. Okay, perfect. So now when you click start a transaction, it's going to pull in all those required forms for you, so you don't have to go look for them. Weird. Okay, do you mind if I?
It's not you, you're cooperating.
Yeah, no, it's not, because it should pull in the forms even if. Do you know your NERDS ID? It's okay if not.
I don't.
Okay, we're gonna click find your member ID.
Okay.
Okay, and so you can put in your last name and email address. It would have been the email address that you used to sign up for the National Association of Realtors. So yeah, probably your personal. Yep, and then you can copy this. I'm happy to do it for you. Yeah, no worries.
I'm gonna let you drive.
You don't really need to know how to do this because once I do it once, you'll have access to all your forms.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That says she's not connected yet.
Yeah, it usually pulls in, well, you put in your last name. Usually pulls in the forms anyway. That's all right, we'll be able to fix it.
Good. Yeah, they're gonna clap them all.
All right, amazing. So now you're gonna have access to all of your forms.
Yay. Oh my gracious, look at that.
Okay, but in order to catch you up to where we are, I will explain what I'm doing after this.
Okay.
So you don't need to know this quite yet, but I'm just gonna get you like the exclusive. Yeah, see, it says it's in you. It says it's in here. Hang on, hang on. Required documents, that's what it is.
Oh.
All documents. That was sneaky.
That's what was happening.
And it gets stuck on that, which
Okay.
is annoying.
All right.
So anyway, now, right, it'll work properly moving forward.
Excellent.
What we've done so far is click on the form, it loads, you can type in it, right?
Yep.
So you really haven't missed anything. That part's pretty,
Thank you. You're so
oh, no, you're good. And I'll make sure I go over this with you again, like, just know you're not alone going through all of this.
Okay.
I know it's a lot.
Appreciate you. Thank
Of
you.
course. Yeah, so, filling out the form is as easy as like clicking to fill it out.
Yep.
So where we are now, though, is we're gonna send it for electronic signatures. So imagine that you already filled out the form,
Yep.
right? So we're just gonna click the check boxes on the top left of the forms that we want to send.
Okay.
So let's say it's that one.
Yep.
And you can either print it with that, like if you want to print it and bring it on your appointment, or this is what we're doing now, create envelope.
Okay.
And this is exactly where we are now.
I'm caught up.
Yeah.
You're my hero.
Sorry, I sent you on a wild goose chase over here, but.
Better than me, trust me.
All right, so that should load any second and then it'll look exactly like my screen. Great, great. Any luck, Linda?
Does that drop down with the pen only come on when you got a new transaction?
The drop down with the pen,
You know,
which one?
Because normally,
Mhm.
and I've been doing this a while.
Mhm.
with DocuSign,
Mhm.
I usually just click on the envelope thing.
That's fine too. Yeah, you can do that if you,
But I like the way that does because a lot of times it gives you like 50 things that you gotta get rid of.
yeah, it gets overwhelming that way. Yeah, so I like this workflow, but you're not doing it wrong. It's just a different way that you could absolutely do that. Exactly, yeah. Uh-huh.
And this is just taking me right to the envelope.
Exactly, right. And it usually, yeah, will prompt for what clients you need to sign, right? But then, yeah, it'll take you right to the envelope.
That little drop down thing. And goes right to the envelope.
Okay, let's see where you are here. Do you mind if I?
Here, go back to.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is right. What?
Well, she had a little drop down menu that said, hey, I'm the list.
Oh, yours didn't do that.
No,
I see. Yeah, that's a good
it just
point.
went right to the envelope.
That's weird. Okay, I might have to troubleshoot that
No,
for
go ahead.
you. Huh. That's a good point. Okay, can I come back and troubleshoot this for you
Yeah,
after?
yeah.
Okay, because I mean, you'll be able to type it. Obviously, that's better. But I'm actually concerned that the fields aren't gonna autofill in that
Yeah,
case.
that's I have to add them sometimes. Or if if I'm doing a listing, and sometimes when I do a listing with, uh, like entity seller or entity
Yeah,
buyer,
uh-huh.
it doesn't pre-populate the, property disclosures or anything
Well, I
correctly.
think because you selected a buyer
Right,
here,
okay,
but the seller, right, is what, like it's trying to autofill seller information.
right.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that is weird.
Let's see, this is the opportunity you started,
Mhm.
right? South Carolina sales file. Hmm. Yeah, it looks right.
So he put in an offer. I was just going to see if I could get that little drop-down menu, because that would
Right.
make things a lot easier for me. Oh, it did. It
Yeah,
has to be a new
well,
form.
were you selecting a listing form? Because that's what I'm doing.
No, that's a buyer form.
Right, yeah,
Uh,
because I'm thinking that, yeah, I don't know exactly what
This
I
would
did
save so
differently.
much time.
But
'Cause
yes,
I end up having to
right, put it all in.
start all that stuff.
Yeah,
Put the ones that-
right. So, yeah, I can circle. Great, I'm glad to hear it. Okay, and I can circle back to make sure that keeps happening. Are you good? Or do you need me to get you where I am?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so you can click the checkbox on the top left of, yeah, the exclusive right to sell is fine. And then you'll click the pencil icon right there. And then, so this is where you can select the listing agent and seller one and seller two, if that applies, and click continue, because this is gonna automatically drop the initial boxes and signature fields. Just flying colors over here, like, okay, well, just stop me if you need me. All right, how are we doing? Good? Okay. 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 Yeah, did you do these steps?
No.
Okay, sorry, and I'll show you this again after class to make sure that it's crystal clear. And I'll talk about this a little bit here too. Yeah, but that should now load where we are here. All right, guys, you should all be where I am on my screen now, right? Creating an envelope is what DocuSign calls it. I like to channel snail mail to make sense of this, right? Okay, so if you're gonna send a form in the mail, right, with an envelope, first thing you do is you grab the document. So we did that, right? Second thing we're gonna do, add the recipients. So as I scroll down, you should see those recipients automatically populate if you selected those roles, okay? Main thing that you need to know, see the numbers on the left-hand side where it says 1, 2, 3, right? It will default like that every time. That's fine, right? If you leave it like that, what will happen is it will send it to the person marked as a 1 first, and it will wait until they sign or do their job, right? They need to sign before it sends it to the person marked as a 2, okay? And that's totally fine. There's a time that we use that, and I'll explain in a second. In general, right, you can either uncheck this right here, and it will send it to all parties at the same time to sign, okay? Main thing, if you leave it as the default, that's totally fine. But if you tell them, hey, I just sent over this DocuSign document to sign, right? Well, no, you didn't send it to all of them, because it's not going to go to person 2 and 3 until after person 1 signs, okay? So in general, you can go ahead and unselect that checkbox on the top if you would like to have it go to all of them at once. The time that we definitely do want to use that feature is if it's a form that they need to fill out. So if it's like the residential property disclosure, for example, and they need to fill it out, having it set up as this 1, 2, 3 does really help, because they'll send it to the person. Let's say one of the, let's say the spouse sends it to them so they can fill out the form. And then once they fill it out, it goes to the person marked as a 2, so they can just go ahead and sign it, okay? So again, in general, you can deselect this. It will send it to all of them at once. Or for residential property disclosure, something they need to fill out, that's when this 1, 2, 3 really comes in handy. Questions about that? Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah,
Great.
and you're clear enough, because this is probably the biggest person that I have as an agent, is DocuSign.
Well, great. I'm glad you're here. Right, and you guys can come meet with us too, right? I'll show you this in person, right? We can have a one-on-one. I'll go through this again, right? So don't feel like this is the last time you're going to hear this. But again, residential property disclosure or mineral, oil, and gas rights, those are times that they need to fill it out. That 1, 2, 3 really comes in handy. If you have questions, let me know. Lastly here, right, you can add a message on the bottom. You don't have to, right? But if you guys discuss something over the phone that you want to point out, like something about personal property, right? Or also the email subject, you can leave as is. However, sometimes it helps for you to change it up here for your organization. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like each time that forms are sent. But sometimes it really does help to change that subject to both the forms that show. And you can click on next on the very bottom. Okay, and we're on the home stretch here, guys. This is the last step for sending for electronic signatures. And there's really not anything you have to do on this next page, which is great. Okay, so once I click on next, right, it'll take you to preview the forms for one last time. But as you scroll down, you'll see now you see the signature fields and initial fields automatically display, right? So this is when they show. So at this point, all you're doing is scrolling through and checking that they can sign everywhere they need to, which the system / your broker in charge sets this up for you. So yeah, it should automatically be where it needs to be. Just pointing out the different colors of the initial boxes correlate with the client that needs to sign, okay? So you'll see on the very top left, right, there's a colored circle next to a client name, let's say. If you click on that, you can see which color correlates to which client, so you can see that they'll be able to sign each and every page, okay? So really, there's not anything you have to do. The initial and signature fields automatically pop up for you. Usually what I do so I can sleep at night is click preview on the top right, and it will allow you to preview the form like you're signing it as the client. So this is optional, but you can click on preview on the top right. And then you'll see on the left-hand side, right, that you can view it as which client that you want to select. And then if you click on start, it'll take you through the signing process like you're that client, so you can see that they can sign every field they need to. All right, so once you check over that, and if you want to go through that, feel free. You can just click start and you'll see what it looks like for them. Once you're done checking over that, you can simply click the X on the top right to get out of this. And then on the bottom right, you'll see it gives you the option to send. All right, and that will send to your client's email. Okay, and I'll show you what it looks like when signed forms come back. We'll talk about that next. We'll click send on the bottom right. Okay, and that will send to your clients to sign. And if it's a form you need to sign, okay, let me tell you how you sign as an agent. You would sign, either it'll send via email to you to sign, or again, a form you need to sign, so like a listing agreement, for example, you'll be able to sign right from the envelopes tab, okay? So where I am, it took me automatically right to this envelopes tab, which is showing me each and every time that I send one or a group of forms to be signed. So if I click on the envelope, right, and if it's a form you need to sign, it will let you sign it right from there, okay? I know mine doesn't because I use a different email, but it would give you the option to just sign right here as the agent. And Joe, do you have any recommendation? Do you usually sign right away, or do you wait until your client sign to then sign it?
With that, that's really interesting with the property disclosures, because that's a big problem for people that are not tech savvy, filling those out.
Yeah.
So I like to send stuff, I would do myself, number one, almost all.
Okay, great.
Because I'll sign it and then review all the documents, make sure I filled everything out correctly. Because I make a lot of typos. I mean, I can't even type in some people's email and it saves it for me sometimes.
Right, I feel that.
So there's a bunch of typos, so I'm always looking at the mistake. And then I have my transaction coordinator has access to my DocuSign.
Nice, yeah,
So she does a lot of stuff on me on that, clears that up.
love that.
I always put myself first so I can monitor the mistakes.
That's great feedback.
Signing.
Thank you.
Now, property disposal is not gonna change that. Like you're saying, it's better to have them do it like that, monitor it.
Right,
But then, I constantly have to call people to sign documents.
yeah,
Go. Job to do it.
very true. And with that being said too, you guys can resend the document. So what I'm going to show you next is how the signed forms come back to you, because you will not see the signed form come back to you until all parties have signed, okay? So if 2 of the 3 parties have signed, right, that signed document won't come back to your DocuSign room until that 3rd person signs. So if they haven't, right, and you want to get it back to the top of their inbox, you'll see this resend option. It will only resend it to the parties who have not yet signed. Okay, so again, I'll show you how I got here. I'm going to X out on the top right, and I'll show you how I got here to make sure you guys are clear on that. The 2 sections that we have gone to this entire time, we've been in the Documents tab, right? That's where we fill out our forms, access our forms. And the Envelopes tab is the other main place that we will be in DocuSign, okay? And again, this shows you anytime that one or a group of forms have been sent out, right? This is also where you can see, hey, who has signed the form already, right? This is where you can sign it and then resend it to them as well, okay? So each time that someone signs, you will get an email letting you know that person signed with a copy of the form attached. But let's talk about how the signed forms come back, because it is a little different, especially than .loop. All right, so if you want to stay where you are or go to the Documents tab, yeah, you can click on the Documents tab actually if you want to join me. I'm going to switch rooms real quick because I have signed forms in another room. Okay, so what you need to know about signed forms coming back, right? Again, right, does not come back until all parties have signed the form. With that being said, once it does come back, you'll see these icons on all of the forms, right? You see this blue icon right here. That indicates that it's the original typable form. So the blue icon, again, that's the original form. You can click on it to start typing it. Once everyone signs the form will come back as a totally separate copy of the form with this green signed icon, okay? So that's how I know that it's a signed copy, and it's also a PDF, meaning I can't just start typing in it, right? Because it's trying to save the signatures, preserving your signatures on there, okay? So just so you guys are clear, you will always have the original copy in here and also a separate copy of the signed form. With that being said, right, if you need access to more of the typable forms, right, so the ones you can just start typing in, if you click on Add on the top right, right, it did automatically pull in most of the required forms, but let's say you need a lead-based paint, right, form or whatever it might be, an addendum. You can click on Add on the top right. Again, I'm in the Documents tab of DocuSign. I can click on Add, the blue Add button on the top right, and I'll see this blue Forms icon again, right? This is that same icon that I see on all my forms here that are typable. So if I click on DocuSign Forms, it'll pull up your entire form library. And Sabra and Tasha set this up for you. Main things to know on the left-hand side, you'll see packets. So they organize the forms on the left-hand side to group them based on if it's a listing, sale, North Carolina, South Carolina. I usually navigate through those folders in order to make it easier to find. However, you will see all of your libraries on the left-hand side as well. So if you have North and South Carolina forms, you'll see that from the associations on the left-hand side. But again, they're grouped for you already at the top. So let's say I'm looking for a listing form. You'll notice that I cannot pull in another copy of a form if it's already in there, right? So it says in use if I already have that in my DocuSign room. Or you can select the check boxes for any other forms that you want to bring in and click Add Selected. If you have questions on that, let me know. All right, so that's how you can add additional forms to your DocuSign room. The last thing I'm going to show you guys is what to do once you have signed forms so that you can get paid. It's generally important. Okay, so if you are looking at what I'm looking at, I'm going to click on Cancel. Totally up to you. Click Add Selected. to get back to my DocuSign room. Okay, so far what we've done is we found our forms, typed in them, and sent them for electronic signature, okay? So let's say that signed form came back. How do I give that signed form to the office so that I can get paid? All right, so you should have a separate tab open for the opportunity. So we are going to switch back to command now. So try to see if you have the tab open that has a red KW on it. It's the opportunities command. This is when we have the document checklist, okay? So when I was learning this, the biggest question I had is, okay, there's a documents tab in the opportunity in command, but there's also the documents tab in DocuSign. What's the difference, right? Okay, so this is helpful in your understanding. The documents tab in DocuSign, so where we've been this whole time, is used between you as the agent and your clients to get forms signed, okay? So that's what you do in DocuSign. It's used between you as the agent and your clients to get your forms signed. The office does not go into your DocuSign room, okay? However, in order to get paid, that's where the document section of your command opportunity comes in. This is used between you as the agent and our office so that you can submit the signed paperwork to get your paycheck, okay? They keep you in compliance. Carla does compliance. So you have to turn in your signed paperwork so they can check you for compliance so you stay out of real estate jail to give you your paycheck, okay? So documents right here, and if I lost you, let me know. I'll come catch you up, right? So the final step that we're going to do is on the left-hand side, right? This is where I see, okay, my listing folder under contract and closed. First thing I usually do is I'll click on the requirement column, right? So I can sort all the required forms at the top. So if I click on requirement, you'll see it puts all the required forms at the top. So these are all the required things that you need in order to get paid, okay? So just noting, I'm going to explain this, but you can always come in and meet with us, come to our open tech time, and I can do this with you, okay? I used to do compliance for the office, so I'm very versed on this, and I can help you get any of these documents in. So when the time comes, let me know. All right, but what we're doing here, right, from the listing folder is I need to go ahead and add my signed, let's say, working with real estate agent. Now, if you got that signed in DocuSign, right, you'll be able to click that check, the drop down right here. You won't be able to see it on my screen, but you'll see any signed documents that you got signed for this transaction specifically from that drop down. So you can simply click on that form and it pulls the signed document over from DocuSign into this opportunity, okay? Your other option, let's say you got it hand signed, okay? We have scanners here that scan your email address is already in the address book. I can show you after class. You can scan it right to your email, right? So if you got it hand signed and you have the form in your hand, you can scan it with the office scanners. It goes right to your email, right? You save it to your computer. And then what you'll need to do is instead you'll see it says attach files from DocuSign, right? You can change that to my computer. All right, so again, if you have the signed document on your saved on your computer, that's when you can drag and drop it in or just click on browse to pull that signed document in. Okay. So you will need to fill in or add any of the documents that say required. You'll see under that there are conditional forms, meaning like if the house was built in 78, well, then you need a lead base paint. You know, if you had DDF, then you need to add the copy of the check. All right, but the required forms at the top, that is what you'll need every single time. Now, I want to point out too that the under contract folder on the left-hand side, right, that will have additional forms once you go under contract, okay? So you would do that process each time that you go live with the listing, each time you go under contract, and each time you close. And I'm going to explain that in more detail, okay? So again, on the left-hand side, let's say I'm submitting my listing paperwork, right? The office does not look at this until you submit it. So you see that green button on the top right that says submit to MC, right? So your process, when you go live in the MLS, Sabra would like you to submit to the Market Center with your signed documents within 3 days of going live in the MLS, okay? So the first time you'll submit to MC with all of your signed documents, or as many as you can, 3 days after going live in the MLS for your listing, right? Once you go under contract, same process will apply. I'll click on the under contract folder on the left-hand side. I'll see all the required contract paperwork, and I can go ahead and add that signed paperwork and submit to the Market Center for review, right? Like the fully executed contract, fully executed residential property disclosure. You would do that within 3 days of going under contract. Okay, it's always that 3-day rule. And then finally, when you close. If you're representing the buyer, you would just have to do this twice. You would, when you go under contract within 3 days, and then when you close within 3 days. What you don't want to do not submit all your paperwork at closing, right? For all of them, they'll hold your check because it takes a long time to do the compliance. So if you want to get paid right when you close, right, that's when you need to be keeping up with your paperwork. You got it. And this is where TCs are great, right? Transaction coordinators are awesome for this, right? They're usually around $300 to $400, would you say, Joe? Per transaction? Okay. You know.
Side. They do charge if they get the termination.
Right.
$350 aside for a buyer or something.
Yep.
I think if I do dual agency, they cut it to 500 for both. Right, so instead of
Is
seven.
it an individual or is it
A group called Carolina's TC.
Okay.
So, they have several people, but the lady I work with is Olga Chirinos. Talk with Linda, get my information. At 2 o'clock appointment, but,
Enjoy.
I can send you their contact information. They do a great job. I mean, it used to be a week for me to get paid with all the mistakes and stuff, truly. And now, as soon as we close, you're not doing any of that paperwork, you're lead generating instead of doing that. And then I get paid immediately. You know, usually
Wild.
it's comments is I'm gonna drop your check off with Lynn. That's all I see.
Love that. Do they interact with your client as well?
Oh, yes, yeah, everything. They do the septic and sewer form.
Wow.
You know, they send out all the professional services disclosures. And they put all the vendors that we use for inspections and stuff like that. They put all of them, then they have all that signed and we sign it. The only thing that they do not do is they do not negotiate, repairs. That's your job as a realtor. And they don't solicit any clients. But all that other documentation, once you go under contract, I never touch a thing after that.
Love that.
So it's awesome, other than the due diligence repairs.
And I bet increases your referrals because it's such a smooth transaction
Yeah.
for your clients,
Most people like, yeah, I
communication.
talk to old guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Who are
That's the
you?
way you want it.
Yeah.
Transaction.
Yeah, right.
I'll send that information. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, I'll see you, Joe. All right, guys. So that is what you'll do as far as compliance, getting your form signed. I'll stick around if you have questions about any of that, but just know you don't need to remember everything I just said, right? We're in the office in the hub from Tuesday to Friday from 12 to 12:30, right? You can just come in if you have DocuSign issues or need help loading these forms. We'll be there. We'll help you with it, right? Of course, we have open tech hours too, like kwresources.com. You can book with us once a week. If you just want one-on-ones, then we can go over this in detail. I can help you with your client, you know, things like that. All right. So if you guys have questions, I'll be around. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Thank you.